everybody and their neighbor. Welcome back to Gear and Gigs. I'm your host, Jet Stone, and I am glad to see that you're here. I have been waiting for you. Welcome. I am here with, you guessed it, Reg. Reg, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Jet. How are you?
I am doing awesome, so thank you very much for asking. I appreciate that. We're going to go, as you could probably tell from the background, we're going to go to space today. We are heading out towards the outer realm and visiting a pedal that's just come out in March of this year being 2022, the Roland Space Echo, or I'm sorry, it's the Boss Space Echo. My apologies. The original one, of course, the Tape Echo, was in fact a Roland Space Echo, but now we're ceding that to Boss. Of course, it's the same company, but nonetheless, the branding on this is Boss. As you can see, they've put it in a box that's very similar to like an old CE1, if you remember those from way back in the day, the very first chorus pedal. Very reminiscent of that. It's got that same heavy metal feel. It's actually smaller. It's about 70% of the size of the CE1, I would say. Thickness is about the same as far as height, top to bottom, but overall size just a little smaller than that. So it takes up some serious pedal real estate, but not a ridiculous amount of pedal real estate. So that's nice. It's heavy duty though. It's robust.
It's also a pedal with a long lineage.
It is a pedal with a long lineage, a long history, a glorious history, in fact, based on what it's emulating, the original Space Echo, which has been used, on everybody's stuff. From, I'll use two of my favorites, Alex Lifeson to Brian Setzer. There's Space Echoes used by both, and everybody in between those two, which is I think everybody fits in between those two as a bracketing system. So Space Echo, good fun for everybody, and this is the newest incarnation. So we're going to take a look at that and see what it sounds like. It has all the features of the original. So it's got the reverb, it's got the EQ, it's got the multi-head system, it's got all that stuff. What it does lack a little bit of compared to the original is it doesn't have an input volume, right? So the original, sometimes you could drive that preamp a little hotter and get that. So it doesn't really have that, although it does have saturation, which is the recording level for the Echo. So you can distort those or overdrive those, but the original signal itself, not so much. So that's something to consider. Although with the EQ, well, anyway, we'll get to that. The other thing it's got is actually 5 reverb types. The original, of course, had an actual spring reverb, which was, some people love it, some people hate it. It's one of those things. It's, nobody's going to swear by it as their only reverb unless you've got a very specialized thing, because it's kind of got a high upper mid-range sort of a tanky sound. So it's fine, but what it does is blend really nice with echoes, as we'll see here, because we've got an emulation of that spring reverb. But we also have hall, plate, room, and an ambience, which I know Rich is excited to check out what that is. So we got some other reverb options built in. That's cool. We have to go through a startup routine to get to those, so we'll go do that in a little bit. Right now, we're going to test it like the original. This is going to be basically a recreation. Now, we're not going to do a back-to-back at this point. We may do that in a future video, but for right now, let's just listen to it, see if we like it. So I'm going to use a Strat because it seems like Strats are going to show the high and lows of everything, right? It's got some depth, it's got some tinkle, sparkle. What do you want to call that?
Tinkle is maybe not the word, but the thing is I absolutely understood what you were trying to convey, though. Without a doubt, I totally understood what you were trying to convey.
All right, so let's establish our dry tone right now. I'm going to turn off all the effects here. Make sure you turn that off. You hold down this middle switch here to turn on and off reverb. Otherwise, it flips between the memories. There are 4 memories plus a manual setting, so you can actually have like 5 sounds that you can go through, program the reverb on and off within those, but that switch serves dual function. All the switches do serve dual function. In fact, this one is a tap and another cool feature, which I'll show you in a minute. And this one is the on-off for the whole pedal, which is kind of weird to be on the left instead of the right for me. But anyway, there it is. And that also does a cool thing if you hold it down, which we'll get to in a minute. But for right now, let's just play the straight sound. Now, I also have a Blackstone MOSFET distortion or overdrive pedal here, just in case we want to get anything gnarly. I've got that. We're going from these pedals directly into our handy-dandy, trusty old 2-Rock Studio Pro 35, mic'd up through a 2-Rock cab with our vintage tube mic going into our Focusrite liquid channel and going straight into Zoom. So you guys are hearing it just as we are, no post-production or anything like that. And I guess that's about it. If you hear any reverb, it's not from the amp. It would be, in fact, from this. So here's our dry signal.
Very nice.
All right, nice. Nothing extreme at all because we're concentrating on the delay, so we're just trying to keep it.
Yeah, and I'm curious too because I'm guessing just because of the advancement in digital technology, especially over the last 10 years or so, that I'm now maybe setting myself up a little too high here, but I've already got expectations that this version is going to be a real close contender for one of the old tape models. Right, versus what they've had out, what Boss has had out in the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years in their pedal
Strong words.
It is, but I'm already like kind of high hopes for this. Really high.
All right.
So we'll see where we land.
Yeah. I'm going to set it up for a basic, one head echo. I'm going to turn the saturation and wow and flutter all the way down. Start as clean as we can get it. EQ, I'm going to set straight up the middle. No reverb. Echo volume, I'm going to put it at 50%. Or, the dial at 50%. And we'll go from there.
Interesting.
Right out of the gate.
Pretty good slapback, yeah. Interesting. Yep.
It has some of that feel right away.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
Okay, so we can do the runaway thing, and it had that soft clickiness that the actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of had a little bit of that. Okay, I'm going to switch to another setting that gets us a little longer reverb.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that was cool. Changing the speed, that's what it would do as the motor wound down. It doesn't change speeds immediately, so you actually do get that pitch change, the Doppler thing.
I love that.
That was pretty cool.
And it degrades as it goes on. It degrades, and not a lot, but it does. I imagine you.
Well, I don't have any.
Using some of them dials. You get probably a lot more obvious.
Well, I was remiss. I should have mentioned that it has a switch for new or aged tape.
Oh,
so right now we were on the aged setting. So let me do that exact same thing, but switch it over to the new and see what it does differently. Yeah, so you don't get the degradation now as much.
Not as much, yeah. You still get it though, but it's definitely less.
All right, I'm going to add wow and flutter. Let's see what that does. I'm going to add saturation. You can hear it getting dirty. Wouldn't Eric be proud of what I'm doing with this guitar?
Right? Why not? I know there's a long way to go and a lot more to hear, but I gotta say, so far so good. Nothing has let me down yet. So
yeah, initial impressions are pretty solid. Pretty solid. Okay, so let's try to find something a little less spacey.
Okay,
I did there. and see if I can find something just pretty usable and pleasant.
A usable delay, yeah. There we go.
When I hit the aged button, all of a sudden it started to really get that flavor of the old ones. Now that sounds like
that's
Echo
sweet,
to me.
man. That's real sweet. Already better than the former Boss pedals. Like it's a like if you and I never owned any of them, but I have played around with a lot of the various models over the because the Space Echo is just one of those, classic delay, and just so I do have experience with them, but I've never owned them. But I can already tell just from this that if anybody that does own any of these older digital models, this is worth the upgrade already. And I'm it's looking like my expectations are going to be met and probably exceeded.
Wow, I'm getting a little nervous for the pedal now.
I mean, you should, because man, am I setting this up to fail. But so far, really, really nice.
Okay, so let's look at the EQ real quick and see what that does. So I'll roll the bass up and down, and we'll roll the treble up and down. So it is only affecting the delay and not the actual tone as opposed to the cloned tone that's going on. Yeah. So it does the echo. So you can really tailor the echo, which is great if you do, trying to blend with the band. If you're sounding heavy or tubby, you can lighten it up. If you need a little bit more meat, you can darken it up, that kind of thing. So actually that's super useful. Now let's mess with the reverb. I'll just dial in some reverb. I'll turn the echo volume down, and we'll just listen to the reverb, and then I'll kind of put the two together.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, so I'm not buying this pedal for that reverb anyway, probably. No. But as I said, it's a. Let me mess with it. Hang on.
It's wet, that's for sure.
It's evocative.
It's definitely wet.
Yeah,
it's not a dry reverb. Yeah, at lower levels, that's not bad. I could see that being useful there. I think cranked up, it's a little too much.
It still takes up a lot of real estate sonically. I mean, it keeps going reverb, and you know what I mean? It's real, keeps poking at you. And later we'll come back and try the other reverbs. Because really, if you're buying this pedal, you're not buying it for the reverb. But you might buy it for how the reverb and the delay interact. So I'm going to try to set up just a touch of that reverb in with that delay we had a minute ago, and let's see what that does. So first I'll have the echo, and then I'll roll in some of the reverb. And that, of course, in the multi-head thing is one of the things that made it a Space Echo.
Right.
Hang on. Man, just a little tiny, it's like cayenne pepper. Such a little bit goes such a long way of that reverb. It's a pretty full sound. I mean, you know, it's all you need, certainly, if you're just looking for regular ambience of some kind. Let me just kick in a little bit of the overdrive. Give it, because, you know, it sounds a little thin. Let me see what I can do to give it a little girth. How could I not do that? I'm sorry, right. I had to do that. It had to be done.
That sounded actually not only nice, but it seemed like I could still feel the reverb, so I felt the space of it, but I didn't hear that weird kind of springy attack thing, right? That kind of went away with the dirt.
It blends real nice with the echo.
It
worked out. They really do. Let me run through some of the other settings on the multi-mode dial, which will bring in different heads, you know, so you'll get the second head, you'll go to the third, you'll go to the fourth, then they'll start combining 1 and 3, 2 and 4, so you'll start to hear double echoes and patterns of echo, like a rhythm. And that'll all come from the placement of the heads. And if you want to learn more about that, there's certainly places you could do that will explain the ins and outs of how all this works. On the real machines, and this is just done to emulate all that. So in the real machines, that you had physical recording heads, multi-heads, and you would actually scoot them around and stuff. So a little less moving parts these days. That was head 2, and I'm going to go to head 3. So I'll go 1, 2, and 3 so you can hear the difference. But don't be misled. You can get all the different times in between all those too with a knob. Those are just kind of like your it's like a doctor's scale, how you move the big one first to kind of get within 10 pounds, and then you move the little one around to find it. Well, that's kind of what this is. You got the 10-pound knob, and then you got the little sliding knob. So anyway, that's what we're doing there.
Yeah.
So you can see we're getting all these patterns and rhythms. He obviously liked that one. 1 and 3 is one of my favorites because you can get a slapback and then an echo of that plus your original signal, which is cool and gets it really fat.
Yeah, subtle, but yeah, it just fills the whole sound out. It really does. I'd be curious to hear some of the more than one head delays, you know, the pattern delays clean.
Oh yeah, sure.
And maybe without the reverb too. Maybe if you just pull the reverb out, just to hear the pattern delays by themselves.
Okay. Starting with 1, 2. The old 1, 2.
I like that one.
That last one was all 4, which gets kind of a...
It was, kind of weird, kind of
interesting sound, yeah.
A little bit tinkly.
I was going to say that, and I thought, no, I'm going to be castigated for saying
I'm going to bring Tinkly back. I think we're going to bring Tinkly into the musical vernacular. I think we should.
So quite a bunch of different sounds in there. I'm going to run through them with some distortion just to kind of give us a sense of what some of those multi-patterns might sound like. I'll just try to come up with something.
Nice.
one with all four is so hard to work with. There's just so much going on. It's like there's no rhythm to play off of. But with the other ones, if you sink into the rhythm of it, it's inspirational. You can find something,
Yeah, the all four is almost like
and that's all at the same
effect.
time.
It's a different effect almost. But I got to say, when you went through all of them, there wasn't a single one I didn't like. I mean, I thought all of them sounded awesome. I think it's a great sounding pedal.
This seems very organic to me, just super organic, and just the phrase that comes to my mind is above reproach. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm ready to start making music. It sounds very musical. Maybe that's the thing. It sounds very musical right away. It fits in with the guitar. It makes me want to start working with it. I'm not fighting it. I'm usually trying to work with it. I was thinking a couple of times. I was thinking, oh man, I wish I had more wobble. I wish I had less flubbiness. And I forget that there's all those controls. So let me just set up a slightly different sound, because I was just going through the modes, and see if I can get something that works with the guitar even better. So hang on a second. It just drives me to experimentation. It's just like, it does that. Oh, then if I do this, it can do this. Well, then I bet if I, and it's this cycle of, it keeps working with me, so I keep working with it, and
Like you were saying earlier about it being organic, it is. It feels natural without. And the first thing I think of usually when I think of delay pedals, especially, is I'm going to see how far out of control I can make this, and I'm going to see how far. When I'm playing, it's the pedal that you're hearing more than the instrument, right? And in this case, it's the instrument that you're hearing, and the pedal is really a beautiful organic enhancement to the guitar tone. You know what I'm saying? Rather than you're using the guitar as an instrument to make this effect, make all this noise.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice.
It feels like it's working with it, not against it,
Yes.
not in spite of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you catch the wow and flutter at just the right spot before it gets too pitch changey, it's this beautiful, sweet chorus.
It's nice. It really is.
All right, I'm putting everything back to center. That last sound, I had the bass down quite a bit, treble up quite a bit, saturation way down, wow and flutter. About 2 o'clock's that sweet spot. And I had that on new tape. That last one, I had it on new. Aged sound fine, but new gave it that tinkle.
It did. Let's face it, most non-professional musicians that had the luxury of owning a tape delay back in the day, they didn't replace those tapes very often. They would use those old tapes. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to get that because it would be the other way. Everybody would have the old tape, so you'd be stuck with the other.
You could never get tinkle in the old.
Right, you couldn't get tinkle.
Yeah. Some of these old guys just could not find their tinkle, and that's just embarrassing for everybody, really. Yeah. Okay, so to do to change reverbs, I have to unplug it, plug it back in while holding down a button, and then select a knob, and then select a switch. It's not super easy, barely an inconvenience. Here's hall reverb.
The hall is way more usable than the spring. Yeah.
It's not the best hall I've ever heard, but it's usable even at its most extreme settings. It's usable. All right, so this would be plate.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
It's okay. I don't like it as much as the hall, though.
Okay. The hall is still the best, but I think the best is yet to come. And what do we got left?
All right, now we have room. Okay, this is room. I'm not going to write home about that, though.
No, but it's fine. It's like the last one. It's like still the hall is the winner of those so far.
All right, here we go. Ambient. Yeah, I bet you're not as excited about that as you thought.
I'm gonna say the hall is but you know what? Again, going back to what I said earlier in this, as far as I'm concerned, the reverb in this pedal is sort of the hot sauce on the taco. You know what I mean? It's like that's not why you're not buying that pedal as a reverb pedal. It's all about the simulated tape delay, which I think is spectacular.
Right.
And I'll bet you any of those others, especially the hall, mixed in with some delay. You got the whole.
That's what I'm saying.
The whole package. You know what I mean?
The enchilada. I thought you were going to go with enchilada. Just on the taco reference. I thought, maybe it's right there.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to try blending in the ambient one. Just a little bit with some delay. And see what
Okay,
that does.
perfect. Let's give that a go. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's nice.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's very cool. Mm-hmm. That's immediately like, okay,
right,
Song Idea City.
There you go. Because it truly is.
Yeah, I guess it's 2 thumbs up, everybody.
Yeah, you would never use
Let's
that.
bring out the seal. Seal of approval.
Reverb, but as a delay pedal with added reverb, I think it's awesome. Yeah, awesome.
There's the seal. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, giving us the flip of success for Roland here, or boss. Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Same thing.
So sorry. You don't want to piss off your boss. I mean, that's just not logical. Anyway, so there you go. There's the Space Echo. There'll be more comprehensive and more detailed reviews. This was more of a, do we like it? Is it good? Is it usable? And I'm thinking in every way it is, and it definitely is. It makes me want to just go play with it. To be honest, it's pretty darn cool. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Gear and Gigs and for hanging out with me and Reg. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, do all that fun housekeeping stuff so I don't have to remind you about it. And we will see you next time. For Reg, I'm Jet. Take care, everybody.